Hey everyone, talking about Lamyland, if that's how you pronounce it, by Rick Owens. The notes in this are bergamot, cardamom, saffron, styrax, incense, myrrh, palo santo, amber, oakmoss, java vetiver, and vanilla. So this is very pricey, I will say that right off the bat. It is, as of recording this, $1,700 for a 50 milliliter, even within niche fragrance, the most expensive stuff. That is so up there. I mean, the most expensive fragrance that I had smelled up until this was Hot Lux. I'm mispronouncing that as well, I'm sure, by Raja. And yeah, I had to smell this as soon as I heard about it. Apparently it's been out for years, but I only just heard about it recently. They only sell it in their stores. They have about, I think, 11 total flagship stores or online, but there's nowhere you can get a sample of it, decant, nothing like that. You can only get you can smell it if you go in store, but that's like it pretty much in terms of either shell out thousands of dollars or go visit one of the stores. And I found out that the store in Los Angeles had it, so I had to do a field trip. I brought my own test strip just in case, and I'm glad because they didn't have test strips. They were just going to spray it, but I wanted to get one to go to make sure I could do a proper review for everybody because I have seen some buzz about this since initially reading about it. So yeah, a little bit more about it before I get to the scent. Limited edition of 1,000 bottles. They're all like individually numbered boxes with camel skin lining inside the trays, all this fancy stuff. I don't like the camel skin part at all. I don't think that's cool, but point being, very, very fancy. The smell itself, I will say it is very nice. Very much kind of, I compare things to this not infrequently, but Chanel Le Lion. Think that type of thing, like a very rich sort of smoky tinged amber. I have seen a few people compare this to Zoologist Tyrannosaurus Rex. I would say this is nowhere near that extreme. I could see where that's coming from a bit. Like if you made that more ambery, I'm not saying there's necessarily labdanum in this, but that style of smell, like balsamic, resinous, amber, and then like still a little bit smoky, but it's not anywhere near as challenging, in my opinion, as Tyrannosaurus Rex, whereas I don't picture most people smelling this and being like, oh my god, that is terrifying, the way that a lot of people react to that fragrance. So it does have some things in common, but to me, I love Tyrannosaurus Rex. It's full bottle worthy for me. So that's not saying anything either way, basically, about it not being like that. Just, I don't think that most people are going to think, oh, that smells just like that, for better or for worse. Yeah, very balsamic, but to me, it's in a good way. Sometimes balsamic stuff can be too vinegary to me, and when it's done in a certain way. But here, I think it's in a very like kind of rich. It's like syrupy, but in a very like high quality syrupy, ambery way, kind of like with the way the myrrh is done. And yeah, the incense, the palo santo, the styrax, the vetiver all add this sort of like smoky tinged edge to it, which really helps it from being just too like thickly amber. But that, to me, really, this is like all wrapped around kind of an amber core. The vanilla is nicely done here as well. It's kind of the pillowy kind, definitely not like a babyish body mist style vanilla. And as I always say when I'm saying that, I'm not dissing that type of vanilla. I think that kind smells great too, but this is a fancier vanilla, a more upscale, elegant kind. And yeah, the warm spices there. This is not an intensely hot, spicy type of scent. It's more like the spice kind of works with the incense and sort of adds nuance to that style rather than this being so much about it being spicy. There's definitely a bunch of musk in here as well from what I can pick up. Interestingly, and another reason that I always like to test on strip too, because if I had just been like telling people, oh, this is what it smells like based on what it smells like on my skin, it would be very different from what somebody else would get from their skin, because stuff reacts so differently with skin. But it also got sprayed on my skin when it was on here. The musk was coming out way more on my skin. It's the kind of musk that I personally don't like. It's in a lot of stuff. A lot of people love it, so that's not saying anything bad about it. Just for my taste, this is not something that would work with my skin, fortunately, for the price, if it was full bottle worthy for me, because I don't like that kind of musk. But that was coming out much stronger for me. I get a little bit of it on the test strip, but it was very, very present on my skin. To me, the bergamot was really downplayed here, which is pretty common. I mean, when bergamot is the only citrus, unless it's really, really bergamot centered, it's just kind of there to, again, like add some nuance to other stuff. The saffron kind of adds to the sort of leathery vibe with the styrax with the way it's done here. The oak moss isn't too strong here to me. It's not one of those like ones where the oak moss just comes out so much and smells so pungent and bitter green in the base. I would have to say I think that the longevity and projection would be pretty great here based on what I have seen other people say, based on how long it lasted on my skin. Even after like I washed my hands so many times, I used like hand sanitizer on my skin. Like there were so many things that happened, I could still smell it on the area for, yeah. And with how strong it still is on the test strip, definitely. I would say very unisex. Yeah. As for whether it's worth the price, so when I was first smelling in the store, I was just like, damn, like this is, yeah, that really is very high quality. But, giving it some more time and kind of adjusting it more, I will say I would choose like Le Lion by Chanel over this. As I always say, I just love that one. And you can get 75 milliliter of that for 300 or so, and like a 200 milliliter for under 500, which is obviously still a lot. But so for me, I would say no, this is not worth almost $2,000, but it is really nice. So no, it's not worth that much money, especially for a 50 milliliter to my nose. But at the same time, it's not something where it's like, wow, they just took some really shitty scent and just made it in a fancy box and then they overpriced it. Maybe all of that is true, but about a really good scent at least. So that's something. Yeah, this is really, really nice. I could picture it being done kind of like a more smooth take on something by, say, houses like Dixit and Zach, and I really like them. So when I say smoother, I don't even mean inherently better by any means, just like more mass appealing, more like kind of, yeah, less intensely sort of smoky in some ways, and just more kind of like smoothed out edges with the way the amber and vanilla are and stuff. Yeah, it is really good. I definitely think that a lot of people would like it if you like sort of like ambery with smoke tinged edges, sort of myrrh, balsamic, things like that with some warmth to it. The manager was really nice at the store and was saying that it reminds her of the smell of an old library, and I could actually totally see that. Yeah, so I do think it's really good. If this was priced at, say, even like $350 for a 50 milliliter, which would still be a lot for a 50 milliliter because that's half the size of a regular bottle. Yeah, I would actually think that that was fair within the realm of niche. And this is, I mean, Rick Owens is a designer technically, so that's, but this is for sure niche quality. This is not something that you're going to get for $100 at Macy's or something like that, anywhere near this kind of quality. But yeah, I just think you're definitely paying for the exclusivity of the limited edition. You're paying for the name, the presentation, like all of this other kind of stuff. And this is what it looks like. I like the monkey on the cap. And that's like the box that it's in with the camel skin and stuff that I don't approve of. But yeah, very well done scent. Very nice. Again, just kind of have to keep going to that central focus of the like amber, myrrh, sort of labdanum like feel with tinged edges. The vetiver is present, but it's not one of those ones where it's like, oh, if you absolutely hate vetiver, I mean, maybe if you really, really hate vetiver, but you don't have to love vetiver to like this because it's really, everything's very well blended here. But yeah, I do think though, if you're by a store or something, it's worth smelling, but I'm assuming maybe they're like this at all of them, but at least at the LA one, it was only like they let one or two people in at a time. It's that level of fancy and exclusive or whatever. So me and my ripped black champion shorts or whatever walking in there like, can I smell the fragrance? But yeah, cool. I'm glad I got to try it. And I've seen some people on places like Reddit being like, oh, I hope someone decants this. Does anybody really want this decanted to the point where they'd be willing to pay the price that it would cost? Let me know if so, because this would have to be, like $20 for a 0.25 milliliter. So that would be this, a quarter full. And for me, sometimes I am willing to pay that for something. If it's like, for example, I've tried some rare Guerlain scents from the 1800s that cost that, and to me it's worth it to smell like a really special scent and to get a sense of it for that. But I don't think most people who are saying they would buy a decant of it would really be willing to pay that. Maybe I'm wrong. Tell me if so, and if you want it decanted. But I'm not about to pay $2,000 just on the off chance that somebody, maybe 1 out of a million people, would buy it. But yeah, I hope this was helpful for anybody who's been wondering about it, and happy to answer any questions if you have any.